We're going to kick things off by inviting Don Koharski to the stage. This guy's been around hockey officiating for so long, you might think that his diapers had black and white stripes on them, but that's not the case. It wasn't until he was a young teen that he blew his first whistle, then in minor hockey at Shannon Park Arena in Dartmouth. It was then, too, that he won an award for community service that included a $50 gift certificate to Vern Buffy's referee school in Ontario. He went there for 3 summers, continually bitten by the bug, was eventually seen by Red Story and recruited to be a linesman in the World Hockey Association in 1975. Dropped the next year, he returned home to Dartmouth, worked the lines in all Nova Scotia Voyageur home games in the American Hockey League, and was a full-time milkman. He also ran a summer hockey officials school. At this time, he was just 20 years old. And delivering milk was just about the only real job he's ever had. And that didn't last long, just a year. In 1977, he was hired as a linesman by the NHL and became a referee on January 1st, 1980. And since then, in hockey rinks around the world, Don has had the simple task, and it's very simple. He occasionally blows his whistle, disciplines young men who break rules, and enjoys a leisurely skate 2 or 3 nights a week. That's all it is, right? That's it, yeah, right. Did we mention he's also disliked by 50% of the people in front of whom he works? Did we mention that fans yell unkind things at him and players will sneer at him? Did we say he will sometimes have hard rubber discs fired his way? And did we also note that he occasionally can get run over or into by much younger men traveling much faster with much bigger bodies? At least now they're bigger. Oh. Sorry, Don. He's bigger than me, I'll tell you that. There aren't a lot of young men who have worn the ref stripe and the red stripe on the left arm as long as Don Koharski, and there aren't a lot of men who have been willing to accept the abuse heaped upon them for 1,500 National Hockey League games. But there also aren't many men as dedicated as Don Koharski to getting the job done right and done well. In Mike McPhee's NHL career, he saw a lot of Don Koharski. Take a look.
I think the best word that I can think of to describe Don Koharski was confidence. He always seemed in control. He was actually, and you can say this probably about a lot of referees, Kerry Fraser would definitely be included, confident to the point of almost being a little bit cocky. And I think that to be a referee in front of 20,000 fans every game, where none of those 20,000 fans are cheering for you. In fact, most of them are booing you. You need to have that confidence. You think of longevity. He's going on 30 years as referee in the National Hockey League. Sorry, Don, but we're all getting a little bit older. And I think he's second to Kerry Fraser in games reffed to this point as far as active referees.
Yes, indeed, Mr. McPhee, and Don Koharski, an icon. He's a man signifying refereeing excellence. In addition to those 1,500 regular season games, he has officiated in 235 playoff games, a dozen Stanley Cup finals, 2 Canada Cups, and 2 NHL All-Star games. He is respected by young and old, by players and his officiating peers. Stanley Cup winner Joe DePenta knows the value of a good official.
Well, I think having a good referee adds a lot to the game, and it's an important aspect of the game, especially the new rule changes over the last couple of years, and you need referees that are able to adapt, and you don't like to have a referee that's too involved in the game and maybe calling too many penalties. Or I think when Don's out there, he calls it as he sees it, and he does a good job of not interfering with the outcome of the game, which is a good quality for a referee.
Now, Charlie Banfield was one of the first Nova Scotians to officiate at the NHL level. He's now working with the league's officials office, and he sees Don Koharski regularly.
The good part with Don, he's a real team player. He's very dedicated. He carries the role very well. and he's very professional. He has a great sense of humor. He chats with the players. They know him. They respect him. He's been around. There's a lot of experience and exposure over the years, and he has a great feel for the game.
Don, as you know, played hockey as most young Canadian boys do. He played house league, cleaned the ice between games, and assisted the rink manager at Shannon Arena in many other tasks. He was Athlete of the Year at John Martin Junior High in 1972, with Pat Connolly presenting him the award. Now, before he was 18, he introduced lacrosse to the physical education program while he was still a student at Dartmouth High School. He coached a Pee Wee provincial team at the Canadian Lacrosse Championships in Vancouver, still while he was a student, and he coached a girls' lacrosse team to the provincial championship. At 18, Don helped Nova Scotia win a lacrosse silver medal at the 1973 Canada Winter Games. The same year, he played high school hockey and was offered a scholarship to play at St. Avex, but turned it down because the officiating seed had already been planted. 3 decades later, he's still ensuring that NHL games run smoothly and efficiently, and that players observe all the rules. And here once again is Charlie Banfield.
The players become accustomed to your style of refereeing and being consistent throughout the season from game to game, and they get a pretty good feel on what kind of officiating is going to come out of this individual. And he's maintained that over the years, and I think that's the biggest part that Don has going for him, is that acceptance, if you will. And believe me, you can't teach that. That takes a lot of time. And I often tell a lot of young guys that are coming in, it's, you know, you're coming along quite well, you're moving the right way, but it's the acceptance factor that you have to get. And whether it's from the hockey players, the coaches, the general managers, and once you get that and attain that, it makes the job a lot more pleasant